Welcome back to Edgework on the Hammer Betting Network. We're on YouTube and Twitter live right now. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure to check us out on YouTube as well. You can give us a subscription as well. We're on Edgework, and you can get notified every time we go live. Zack Bodenstein back with the boys from the fourth period on this Wednesday. DB, Dennis Bernstein, Dave Pagnotta. Dave's got his haircut. DB's on his second or third coffee, something like that. So
Wait a minute. I have a reminder for someone. 4 for 4 last week. The champ is here.
Wow.
4 for 4 last week.
Okay.
So
when we bat 1,000, we can reciprocate?
Yes.
Okay.
I think,
100%.
Yeah, now we have to
we're here for.
Right? If DB can do it, we should do it. And I think we've been right more than he has. So
yes.
Can we backlog our victories and get like 10 championship belts?
It's called show prep. I did prep. I went back and looked last week. Actually, I knew Wednesday night. I was like 4 for 4. And I had the Marner anytime point as a prop. So, of course, I'm going to remind you I was perfect. When I go 0 for 4, you won't hear a word from me.
No. Never.
Which you did the week before, right? Which just kind of shows how betting is, right? It's like you go over and then you hit everything the next week, and there's really no in between. And as Dave likes to always say, things even out over the course of a season. So we saw that DB over the course of 2 weeks with you.
Now, the winning and losing can even out, but hopefully the payout is a little bit higher. Remember what we say: go for the smart bets. Add in the smart bets. Go with your heart and your gut, but add in the smart bet every now and again. Listen to this guy.
So DB capping off a 4-0 week last week, and this week he's going to try and better that. So let's start with a team that nobody likes to talk about, or everyone likes to talk about. It really depends who you are. The Toronto Maple Leafs rolling right now. As you see, the title of this video, Matt Murray put on a show yesterday, a 44-save shutout. The team overall hasn't lost in regulation in 12 straight games. Their futures odds are getting better. Austin Matthews, who DB likes to poke some fun at, he's getting hotter as well. So, Dave, are we looking at them for futures? How are you feeling about the Leafs going forward, at least for the next little while? Let's say the next week or so.
We've said it. This is a very good regular season team.
Regular, yeah.
So, hammer them in the regular season. Now that they got that BS in the first month or so out of the way, because there's always that period where the Leafs just decide to nosedive for no apparent reason. The city wants to implode. Everybody hates everybody. Mitch Marner's the worst player in the league. Austin Matthews is never signing an extension. Blah, 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 blah. Well, that's over with. So now, at least you hope, but now you ride them. Mitch Marner, 20 game point streak. So not only did he tie the record and eclipse it, but now he's gaining a little bit of ground on the previous record of 18 games for the franchise. Ride him, because that's the smart bet. You ride him out because you never know when he's going to fall off that train. So stick with that. And look, goaltending has been fantastic. Matt Murray, I give him a lot of credit. Yeah. He is doing masterfully in the net. So the fact that they're pulling this off, so with teams like Toronto, you can get away with one thing. You can get away with not having one kind of element, either defense or goaltending. You get away when you've got the other side being elite. Forwards aside, like the forward core from an offensive perspective is great. So you either need to have great goaltending or great defense. And that offsets the fact that if you've got, good goaltending or good defense. We saw with Colorado winning the Stanley Cup. Philip Grubauer is not a great goaltender. It's a good goalie, not a great goalie. They had great defense. Toronto, without Brody, without Riley, they're getting contributions from that D-core right now. And that's great. But it's really the confidence on that D-core is based on the fact that Matt Murray is doing so well. So this is a team that, again, I see them all the time. I will be at the game tomorrow night when they play the LA Kings. That's going to be an interesting test for them. But you ride the Leafs right now because they're just absolutely hot, and you ride Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I think this is coming to an end, though, because I don't think they're on a really nice streak right now, but they're not this team that are they even going to win the division the way Boston's playing. So yeah. I think that they're at the end of this nice run. and you're right. Dave's exactly right. Remember, Sheldon Keefe doesn't have a system. They're going to get rid of Dubas. And all you got to do is win and get goaltending. Like, it's amazing how teams get better.
New Jersey.
Not even it's not even like 943 Shesterkin or Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Like, make the average save. Like, don't give up the bad goal. I see it all the time. You know, Zach, I think all these rallies that you see in these games, like Montreal 4-0, a lot of it extends to the goaltending. Like, you give up a bad goal, a goal that shouldn't go in the net. Momentum swings in these games, not because the teams are so great offensively. So across the league, the goaltending's not great. And all of a sudden, a team like Toronto gets a goaltending performance like Matt Murray. He gets hot. You start winning games. There's no secret. Are they playing any differently structurally? They aren't. The goaltender's making saves. Like, he doesn't have to make every save. He doesn't have to have a game like last night. But you've got to you can't let up those bad goals. So I think that's what in Toronto. That's what you see with a bunch of teams. So Toronto, they should be complimented for shrugging off all the criticism early on, winning games the right way. But do I think it's going to continue at this point? I think over the next couple of weeks, there's probably opportunity to bet against this team because I think the streak is about to end.
So a team that also has started to figure things out, the Pittsburgh Penguins, now 8-1-1 in their last 10 games, and they're starting to get the goaltending too. It was an iffy start for Tristan Jarry. We all know what happened in the playoffs a couple of years ago, how people say he kind of lost them the series against the Islanders. He started to figure things out, and so have the Pens. Brian Rust getting hot again. So happy, by the way, to see Chris Letang back on the ice. That's amazing news. But everybody's rolling. Sid's turning back the clock, not that his production ever slowed down. But Pittsburgh's getting contributions from everybody, DB. So I ask you the same question. Is Pittsburgh a team to roll with over the next couple of weeks?
Super streaky team, Zach. So what I would be betting on, leads the league in even strength points? Sid Crosby. There's your bet.
Yep.
Like, I would be betting him every game because he's just finding ways. He's enjoying himself. It's like it's hard to play this team because they're really streaky. Like, they'll go on a streak, and maybe it's part of it is age. You play a bunch of games together. They're super streaky. The one thing that I can bet on with confidence, like over the stretch, would be Sid Crosby anytime point. So that's what I look for because I think that, and it's great to see Letang back, but there's holes in this line, especially defensively, and I think they lean too much into the goaltending. So it's a nice streak, but I've seen this team go the other way this season already, and we're less than 30 games in. They're a dicey proposition. If you're going to bet them, you're going to make sure they're on one of those rolls. If they're not, I would kind of play against them, but I would, again, be looking at Sid Crosby on props every night they play.
Yeah. Well, without question, 15 goals already on the season, 35 points, among the top guys, and you look at his line mates too. If you want to sprinkle a little bit on this team, Gino Malkin on the next line is going to contribute as well. But sprinkle a little bit with Jake Gensel, sprinkle a little bit with Rickard Rakell. Those guys are in double digits already in goals. Rakell's got 10, Gensel's got 12. He's going to be popping in more as the season kind of moves along. So, but it all kind of goes back to 87. Right. So you're riding him right now. He's not a rejuvenation type season. Like, he's still one of the best players in the National Hockey League. But now he's just kind of, being in a position where he almost needs to take this team on his back a little bit. But again, you look at the rest of the roster and you've got those guys making points. You've got Gino Malkin at just about a point a game. So for me, it's focusing on 87 for the most part. Because like DB said, it is a streaky team, and this has ups and downs kind of rolling with it throughout the rest of the season, I think. But I think we're going to see more ups and downs for Pittsburgh. And if you're a Pens fan, I mean, that's good news. Look, they've got one regulation loss in their last 10 games. That's impressive. They're on a high right now. So, again, the smart bet for now is you ride them until they start to cool off.
So we were just talking about hot teams. I want to talk about one hot team and then a not-so-hot team that played each other last night. The Winnipeg Jets beat the Florida Panthers. This has kind of been the streak that the two teams have been on. Florida can't really win a game for their lives, and even if they do, it's a shaky win. And Winnipeg looks good. DB's guy, Kyle Connor, started to put the puck in the net. He heard DB's wishes of a start. So,
let's go, Kyle.
Yeah, so those two teams are trending in those same directions. So, Dave, Florida and Winnipeg, your takes on both of those teams right now, at least for the next little while, and maybe some individual players as well, because, again, Barkov hasn't played in the last couple of weeks either.
No, and yeah, there's certainly – I mean, you're seeing how valuable he is to that team. to not have him part of that lineup. So, this team, certainly streaky. I mean, yes, Matthew Tkachuk is elite. And yes, if you're looking at somebody on this team to bank each game, he's the guy to do it. And they're going to get later on this month a little bit of reinforcement with Anthony Duclair coming back in the lineup. And that helps kind of stabilize their top six, which I think will help them. And eventually they're going to have to figure out the cap situation. A little lucky and convenient right now with Patrick Hornquist being out, but that was a legit injury. So convenient in terms of timing. I don't think there's any, these conspiracy theorists are going nuts over everything. So you're pickpocketing the Panthers right now. Relax. It's a legit injury. But this is a team that's still trying to figure out how to get going again and how to not replicate what happened last season where they, kind of blew up a little bit too fast and then just didn't know how to play the other end of the ice. This was an interesting win for the Winnipeg Jets. I think Mark Scheifele with a couple digs at Paul Maurice after the game in this one. They really wanted to get this win and they wanted to stick it to their former coach, whom a lot of people on that team felt that he kind of bailed out in that situation last season. So, whatever, it is what it is. But when you've got goaltending as fantastic as Winnipeg has been getting from Connor Hellebuyck, and you've got guys like Scheifele and now Connor and Blake Wheeler's been really good and Josh Morrissey has been fantastic on the back end at both ends of the ice. It's a well-rounded group right now, but it really goes to show you can have that top-tier talent up front. You can have a Norris caliber type of player right now anyway in Josh Morrissey. But if your goaltending sucks, you're going to suck. And Winnipeg's goaltending has been elite, and that's why they're leading their division right now.
That game was personal last night for Scheifele, right? That's obvious, right? And that was an easy bet because there's a lot of money on the board in the Winnipeg dressing room prior to the game because whatever happened with Maurice, they weren't happy with him, and they were really motivated last night. That game meant something to them. Florida is so inconsistent, Zach. I'd be playing against them most nights. It's not the same team it was last year. You just can't, it's not fantasy hockey. You can't unplug Huberdeau and Weegar, plug in Tkachuk, and it's going to be the same result. It's not. And you mentioned Barkov's injury, so I think that's one thing that I will look at. Winnipeg, and Zach, I know between the text between us before you mentioned the Colorado Eagles.
Yeah,
and look at the Avalanche and all the bang. A future bet for Winnipeg to win the division with all the injuries in Colorado isn't a bad bet right now. It really isn't. I don't think it's sustainable this clip. But if you're going to get Connor Hellebuyck to be the guy he was 2 seasons ago. And remember, they don't have Nikolai Ehlers. They're scoring goals without an important part of this team. Because I think these are one of the teams that read all the clippings, read all the stories about they're a marginal team. They're probably not getting to the playoffs. They imploded last year. There's not enough defense. Hellebuyck sucks. And they said, okay, well, now we'll go play the games. And that's all they're doing. They're going to play the games. Their big players are playing big. Who did you just mention, Zach? Scheifele, Connor, and Hellebuyck. If those 3 guys are going to play at this level, they're going to be in contention for the division because Colorado is not going to be a 115-point team this year. It's obvious. They may win the division. But as a future bet right now, it's not a bet for, as crazy as it sounds, on Winnipeg to win the Central.
And another Central team that is just they're singing the blues right now. The St. Louis Blues. They're making history for the wrong reason. So they're the first team in NHL history to give up 3+ goals in a period in 8 straight games. It seems like it's a goaltending issue, but it's also the team in front of them. I realize they're hurt, but Dave, St. Louis right now, I want to go against them. I want the overs in that game. Yeah. I want all of it.
Yeah, I'm hammering the overs in these games without question. And personal allegiances to one of their goaltenders aside, I'm hammering the over because it's not just the goaltending. If you look at it, especially in the early part of the season, Jordan Binnington's numbers were really good. Then they went and lost 8 in a row, and his numbers were absolutely atrocious. Well, a contributing factor into that was how they were playing in front of their goaltender, even when Thomas Greiss was in the net. Their defensive structure is not there. That's one of the reasons why they're still in the Jacob Chikrin discussions with Arizona to kind of help bring somebody back there that can help stabilize and change up the core on that blue line. I mean, the guys up front, it would help if they, would contribute as well from an offensive side of things. But, because there's a lot of fluctuation in and around this lineup, and that's why we've seen them. They lose 8 in a row. They win 7 in a row. They're giving up a crap ton of goals every game. and then they're shutting down the opposition. Then they're giving up goals again. Like, this is as streaky as you can imagine of a team, and you can have so far in the first third of this freaking season. So I stay away from, projecting when they're going to win, because I just want them to figure it out on their own. But the overs in these games, I mean, I don't know how you don't go that route. I mean, again, just sprinkle. If you're hesitant, again, smart bet is these games are going to go over against St. Louis over a significant stretch. So sprinkle a little bit on that one, because you're likely to hit more often than not right now.
I have no allegiances. When the coach says to the goaltender, knock it off, stop the puck, you knock it off and stop the puck. But last night on the island, that was a microcosm of St. Louis's season, right?
Yeah.
Up 5-1, controlling the game. They fall asleep, and it's 5-4. Like, this is what this team is about. They're not. They've got a lot of talent on this team. They're not a championship team. The way they play this game and the way they lose focus in games, and you're right, Bennington's been bad, but look, save percentage is a team statistic.
Thomas Greiss last night.
It's simple as that. Yeah, exactly.
So
it's a team. It's
structure.
a team statistic. I mean, you got to make the average. Like, Jordan's giving up bad goals. Don't get me wrong, but it's not just him. It's this team, and you're right. The only safe play on this team is bet the over, because they take their foot off the pedal. They're not a focused team. They're certainly not. Look, they might have more talent than the team that won a championship. They are not the focused, tough team that won a championship in 20. Close to that. So they have a leaky defense. Their goaltenders don't make the big save at the big spot. So, the only safe play on St. Louis right now is betting the over, because when they win a game, it's not going to be 3-1. And I think that's what you look at, Zach, at this point with St. Louis.
And that's what we saw yesterday. The way we're talking about them, it's like they lost yesterday, but they actually won. But they gave up 40 shots to the Islanders, and it was ugly, like you said, DB, from 5-1 to 5-4 like that. And they had to hang on with empty netters. When Josh Levo's your best player, and you're not talking about the 2016 Toronto Marlies, it's not a good thing. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with the St. Louis Blues. So let's move into tonight's games. We've already touched on the Avs, or the Colorado Eagles, because of how shorthanded they are tonight. The Bruins -175 at Colorado +145. This line's actually shifted since last night, guys. So it's even more favored towards the Bruins right now. We talked about all the injuries up front for Colorado, and it's been a struggle for them. They've lost 3 of the last 4. They've given up 5-4, 5-5. Those are the goals per game that they've given up during this slump right now. Boston, I don't even have to mention their record, their recent record, I should say, because they're 23-1. That's really good. So, DB, your thoughts for tonight's game? What are you looking at? Are you looking for any props? What's your take for tonight?
Yeah, one prop, and you mentioned the first part of Colorado's game. I like it, even though Boston's really good defensively. I like this game over the 6 total at -105. I think that's going to be pretty easy, because Colorado, and through no fault of their own, there's just so many injuries, Zach, on that lineup. I got to think this is looking like a 4-3, 5-4 game at this point. I mean, Boston's going to score enough, I think, to win the game. I would bet Boston outright, but I really love the over since it's only a 6 total.
Yeah, I'm going combo on this one because I agree. I think it's going to hit the over, but I also think Boston's going to take them. So I'm going Boston on the money line and the over in this game at +150. I'm going combo on this one. And if I can find a line that has an over shot total for Charles Hudon, because he had 7 in his first freaking game back since 2020 when he was with Montreal. He had 7 shots in his first game, his debut game with the Colorado Avalanche. If I can find a prop that gives me over shots for him, I'm probably going to take that one too.
Plugging in Hudon for
the fact that Charles Hudon's in the lineup, guys, that's why you make the bet on Boston. I didn't even know he was on the team.
And he's counting on – he got called up again, so he'll be playing tonight. But the fact that in his first game, he got 7 shots. Like, you get 4 shots and the coach is like, all right, easy, buddy. Like, pass it off. You got other guys here. No, he had 7. So they're counting on him to at least create something. So if you can find that prop on the over on shots – I'd give it a shot. No pun intended. That was horrible.
So the Bruins have obviously been really hot. David Pastrnak goals in 6 of his last 7 games. Contract your Pasta continues to just light it up. Second game that we're going to be talking about, the Rangers +135 on the road in Vegas, -160. And The Rangers, we know, we talked about it. Our first episode this year was after they beat the Lightning at home in that season opener. And we were all, the Rangers are for real. They're coming off that conference final appearance last year. And now it's just kind of dipped the other way. They've lost 5 of 7. Igor Shesterkin not playing like Igor Shesterkin. And when that happens and your $8 million captain is not playing like an $8 million defenseman, things aren't going to go exactly right for you, Dave. So your take for tonight's Rangers and Vegas game?
I don't like it. I'm not going to lie. I don't like this game because Vegas should win. Rangers are plus money to do it. The Rangers are crap. So because they're facing off against one of the best teams in the league, I don't think the Vegas flu is going to come into play here. I think the Rangers are probably going to have a pretty good outburst and a pretty good output against Vegas. But Vegas is so powerful that they should win. This is a head scratcher for me. And right now, I'll be honest, guys, I'm staying off this one. I know we're talking about it, but I'm a little hesitant because I just don't know. I'm going to hammer some of the other games, definitely. But this is a should win for Vegas. But because I don't know, these types of teams, there's a lot of talent on these teams. They've got the goaltending, the forward core up front. But when they hit this lull, out of nowhere, they just come out with a big victory against a top-tier team that they have no business beating in this stretch. And I'm wondering if that's going to happen tonight. But Vegas is so freaking good that they may be all right, those cartoons where the little dog's going after the big dog and the big dog just holds its head and the little guy's just swinging and he can't reach. I think that might be what happens tonight. But I just don't know if that big dog's going to slip and the little guy's going to give him a nice shot. I don't know. This one's a confusing one for me, guys. So I'm actually going to respectfully bow out of this game. I'm going to hammer the crap out of the Bruins in that game. But DB, I'm curious as to what you're thinking tonight.
5-minute explanation on how you're not going to bet on the game. That's great. No, I like the Rangers actually. I like the Rangers on the puck line -175.
I'm so confused with this damn game.
Yeah, I know. It took you 5 minutes to get it out. It's the first home game after a road trip. So there's part of it where teams aren't ready to go. The Rangers found a way to win in their last game. They're not playing great. And you're right about Shesterkin. Hey, Zach, here's the deal. When he's not a .940 save percentage guy, all of a sudden the team doesn't win as many games. Wow, what a shock. That's what this team is right now. So if you're betting on the Rangers like I am, you're saying that their best players are going to play great. You're going to think you're going to get production from Zibanejad, Breadman, Kreider, at Fox, and Shesterkin. That's what I'm betting on. And Vegas is going to exhale after. They did nice on the road trip. They bookended with another shootout win the other night. They snapped Boston's streak. I think that first home game after a road trip, I like the Rangers here as an opportunity to win the game outright. I do like them on the puck line at -175.
And just to quickly jump, if you're going smart bets.
More explanations about
if you're going smart bets on the money line, the Rangers are plus money. They're plus 125 on this one. So if you're basing it off that, if I am leaning in one direction, I'm probably going that route.
And actually, the Rangers' road record is better than their home record, and then Vegas' road record is better than their home record. So it's weird, right? You could totally see something like that. The Rangers plus money, good opportunity. And they changed their lines in the third period the other day. They had Lafreniere up on the top line. He had a couple points with Mika. And but Logan Thompson on the other side's been good. So I see where you're coming from, Dave. It might be kind of a tough game to feel out how it's going to go, but an interesting one nonetheless with two of the better teams in the league on paper. Third game that we're going to talk about, and again, this is a third one that we think goals. I'm pretty sure all three of us. Minnesota and Calgary. We've got Kirill Kaprizov coming in on that 12-game point streak, but it's Fleury versus maybe Markstrom, who hasn't been good. Both goalies have been struggling. So, Dave, do you like the over in this game? Or are you looking at anything specific? What's your feel for this one?
This one's easy for me. I'm going over, and I'm going Minnesota on the money line because they're plus money. They're another plus 125. In this one, I like how they've been playing lately. I like Kaprizov and how he's been kind of riding the offense for this team, and I think he keeps his streak alive too. But I'm going with the over in this one. I'm going Mini on the money line. Nice and simple, DB.
Yeah, Calgary's been one of the most disappointing teams for me. They're out of a playoff spot right now, and any chance to bet against my old buddy Daryl Sutter, I'm going to take a shot at that. So I'm agreeing with you, Dave. I like Minnesota on the money line tonight. No props on this, but I do like Minnesota to find a way at the Saddle Dome to win this game.
Calgary's been giving up a lot of goals, but they are getting hot. I'm interested to see if Kadri, Lindholm, Huberdeau, those guys stay hot. Again, Fleury hasn't been very hot, so an interesting game. But I think all three of us are in agreement that this game could go over 6.5. So that leads us into our best props and best bets segment. So DB, you take it away. Your best props and best bets.
Yeah, okay. So the props game is certainly Buffalo-Columbus. I guarantee there'll be a lot of goals. So I'm going to take it over 6.5 total at -105. And on top of that, I'm doubling down over a goal and a half in the second period it's a lot of chalk here. I mean, a lot of chalk, -260. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to do. And then if you watch Edmonton, their second periods have always been high scoring. So again, this is going to be a chalk bet, but Arizona, Edmonton, over a goal and a half in the second period as well. It's pricey. It's -230. But if you look at the trends of these four teams, they score a lot. They score a lot in the second period as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Columbus game. I'm going the over in that one as well. I just think this is a game we'll certainly see a lot of goals, in this one with the goaltending all over the place, for really both of these, both of the clubs, how Buffalo's been playing this at. From a prop perspective, I was going to go Tage Thompson, but we've talked about this before. He gets bursts like 4 or 5 games, and then he cools off for a game or two. Then he goes back. He's already 4 straight or 5 straight. So I'm going to wait on that one. I'm going to take off him, but I am going with a Patrick Laine anytime goal tonight, +140 against Buffalo. Like I'm liking that one. My other one for me, I'm going to the Arizona-Edmonton game, but I'm sticking with the props on this one, and I'm going Jacob Chychrun over 3.5 shots tonight. It's even money at +100, but you look at the trend, you look at how he's been going the last few games. His last 5, he's 3-4, 3-4-4 in shots. So I think he's going to keep that going, especially against Edmonton tonight. So I'm going with that one. Chychrun trying to up his trade value. I think he's going to pop in about 4 shots plus tonight. And then in the other game, Patrick Laine anytime goal for me.
Could be an audition game for Jacob Chychrun in his future building. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah. Well, we saw Patrick Kane put up like 3 points in MSG. And to me, my first thought as this trade junkie that I want to see, my absolute first thought was like, okay, that's an audition. He's going on PP1. He's being traded to the Rangers, whatever. We'll see if that happens with Chychrun, if that's even in the back of his mind. For me,
he wants the hell out of there. It is.
I mean, yeah.
It's a farewell tour. That's what it is. It's
right.
Farewell tour.
Yeah.
So my prop is just a simple over, the over in Calgary and Minnesota, over 6.5. It's -115. I think it's pretty good value based on the way both teams have been going. And then I have Bruins over the Avs or the Eagles, whatever. I'd even go as far as going puck line, just because, I mean, the Avs have been giving up so many goals lately. The Bruins have been scoring so many lately. Even though they lost in the shootout in Vegas, they had like 43 shots, a few power plays as well. So just the way those two teams are trending, I just think Colorado doesn't have enough at this point to take down Boston based on who they're rolling out there. So that's what I'm going with. I think I'm pretty confident in the Bruins. Last week, the Oilers screwed me. They gave up that insurance goal. They had a 2-goal lead. They gave up they made it a 1-goal game with like a minute left. Right. I can't trust that team. I'm not even touching that team going forward. Like DB warned me. So
imagine how the fans at Edmonton feel.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jack Campbell, 5 years left on that deal at 5.5. At 5 per year.
No problem.
And we're 2 months in, so
exactly.
Hasn't been pretty.
No.
All right, so that'll do it for this Wednesday edition of Edgework. Check us out on Twitter and also on YouTube. DB, Dave Pagnotta, Zack Bodenstein signing off. We'll see you tomorrow.